My friends, I'm super excited being here with you today. It's my favorite time of the week recording these sessions for you. I know today's session might be very interesting for you because it's about mental health and really about the truth about stress and how mental health and resilience could help. I want to start the whole session today about your state of your mind. If you are like me, you might be a little bit on into different gadgets. So here I have the latest Apple Watch where you can actually pretty much set how you're feeling right now. And when you do that, you can kind of slide the whole thing and select whether you feel pleasant, unpleasant. So I feel very pleasant. So I confirm, and then you can select why you feel very pleasant. So sorry, my watch is actually turning off really quick, but so I feel amazed, I feel brave, I feel calm, I feel confident, I feel content and excited, for example. And then you can select what's having the biggest impact on you right now. So for me, that's obviously community. It's you guys that makes me feel, like I'm doing something meaningful. It's the current events, perhaps the fact that it's a weekend, then some type of family, health routine. Didn't sleep so well today, but generally quite good. Identity and let's say partner. And then you press and you have locked the state. I know, sorry, I apologize. It's a little bit over the screen, hard to share. But the reason why I'm doing it, it's very useful because I like to track my state over a period of time. I want to track how fit I am over a period of time. And the same for you could be very interesting. Just thinking, like if you look around, right, you see there are some greens. There's actually a plant next to me that constantly creep in my face. I have my bottle of water that my partner just brought me a new one from on her trip to Malaysia, and stuff like that has an impact. And today, especially this topic, because I've done a recent webinar on this topic around mental health and mental well-being and emotional resilience, really. And those are my favorite topics, just because it forces you a little bit to think outside the box, outside yourself. And I feel today I want to touch upon a little bit further because there is this link as well that you can find in when you go on the YouTube channel, Mr. Positive. Then you can find the weekly shots of inspiration, as I call it, and the weekly shots of inspiration number 7 is the one which will give you the mental health and mental well-being. So based on that and some of the discussions that I had with people, I actually decided to go a little bit deeper, and I also write these weekly articles. And this one particularly is really about the truth about stress. And it made me think because there were some quite interesting questions in the round. And I realized that just like you and me, we are busy executives, right? Maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a stay-home mom. I still call you executive because you're executing your life, you're managing your life. And it's very important for us to remember that we all have something to take care of, which is our life, our families, perhaps the past, the daily kind of commute, the things in our life. And we sometimes forget that a lot of these things have a toll on our mental health. So I want to give you an example as well, just down the line. But what really made me think recently as well to dive deeper into this topic is where we grow up, right? Some of us grow up in a very stressful environment. Sometimes it is less stressful, but often maybe what type of parents we have, parenting style, the environment, if we grow up in a suburb. So if we grow up on a farm, just like I did, it can kind of have an impact on how your genes express. There's this whole notion of epigenetics. So that's the lifestyle and stuff. I will talk about it as well. So we, all carry some type of genes that are prone to illnesses. Whether we all seen that, right? Our loved ones, some of us, or some of them dying of cancer or diabetes or perhaps heart attack, whatever. But these genes don't have to fully express if we organize the environment in such a way that it makes us feel better. And over a period of life, we pretty much organize and arrange so that we fight the genes in our body. I know this sounds maybe like some type of magic. It's really not. It's pretty much about our experiences and our reaction to stress. And I feel in our society, we face these two things. First, we try to avoid many issues just because a lot of these issues are maybe bigger, political, or not directly concerning us, like a war in another country, or even if we concern ourselves, it's just dragging on and it's just tiring. And the second is the chronic stress and abuse of those kind of concepts that we let run our lives. So let me give you a short story of a Mark, who's a CFO. As you can imagine, every CEO, CFO role is very demanding. Mark has also two kids, small kids, and often what really happens is that he finds himself overwhelmed. He struggles to make decisions at work, forgetting important details. He's really generally feeling on the edge around his family. It's hard, right? You have kids and you want to spend time with them, and I think one thing led to another, and Mark just realized, hey, I have to do something with my stress and about my stress, because he's ignored it, or for had ignored it for many months, and it derailed his productivity, derailed his decisions and personal life. So after kind of talking to friends, and some of these buddies who said, man, and that's also a reason, and I will talk about it later, why you should be part of some mastermind or a group to motivate you and to challenge you. He stumbled on basic stress management tips. So the first thing that Mark started to do every morning is some type of intense exercise, followed by a minute of mindful breathing. So really the best way to deregulate your stress response. And that's how he started kind of his workday. He leaned also for or on really a mentor for guidance, and generally just try to think outside more, gain perspective, gain time back. So over time, what he really got back is some type of sharper focus, better sleep, more positive mood, small changes that transformed his outlook as well. And I know this sounds like, oh, that we know that it usually doesn't go like this so fast. But the reason why I started with this story is that many times we actually, all of us, been in those situations or are still in those situations just because we don't design our lives actively, and we are very reactive, and that's especially can very quickly escalate when we get kids, when the routine is not exactly the same, when we maybe don't work out regularly, we don't take time to breathe. And the thing is, why I wanted to shoot you this message today, and wherever you are, I hope you find it well and it adds value, is that the impact of chronic stress is really massive. I've seen it in my own life. The way I grew up was quite stressful, and you can see that prolonged stress changes your brain. It's this prolonged HPA axis activation, so it's this part of the brain that you call the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis. So it stays on alert. It regulates cortisol, which usually floods our system when we are stressed, and this can wear, when that kind of chronically happens over and over again, can wear down these different three regions. So the hippocampal atrophy. So hippocampus is weakening the memory and learning. So when you are stressed, obviously. The second part is the frontal lobe. So reduce activity in the prefrontal cortex. So often what I've seen myself as well, it's you're not really good at deciding and decision making and generally executive function. And the third one is altered limbic brain. That's kind of our amygdala, right? Because an overreactive amygdala disrupts emotional regulation, because obviously the blood floods away from the brain to the limbs, and we feel anxiety, or it fuels anxiety and mood swings. So imagine, this is probably good that this is happening in our brain on occasional basis, but imagine this happens every day, every 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day. There can be really some structural changes to our brain, and especially combined with outdated emotional patterns, it can limit growth and personal and professional realms. And many of you are there, just like these groups that I usually present to are busy executives, high kick-ass CFOs, CEOs, and other, entrepreneurs. And that's why I feel just dedicating time to this topic on a regular basis is so important. So, in my opinion, that also comes back to redefining for what mental health and what emotional resilience are. Mental health, in my opinion, it's not simply not being sick. It's an ongoing process of adaptation and growth. Emotional resilience, on the other hand, I feel it's facing difficult emotions instead of avoiding them. I have a favorite author, like you all have, Susan David, and she has many interesting insights in this. She wrote a book, Emotional Agility. So if you're into that topic, I would encourage you to pick it up. And she says that discomfort is the price of admission to meaningful life. That means also the emotional agility is acknowledging your feelings, then choosing constructive actions, and helps you to pivot actually from negativity to healthier mindset. Sounds mouthful, but it's pretty much true. If you think that instead of avoiding our feelings as well, when I was growing up, for me, feeling sad and depressed, I tried to always fight it with some positive emotions and run away into some quiet place. And until I understood that it was finding out why am I feeling like this, and maybe it was the environment I was growing up, or the general area, or just my reactions to things. So there are three steps, in my opinion, that can help you to gather resilience. The first one, prioritize wellness, just like Mark did. Second is the mindful breathing, and third is social connection. Um, Wellness, I summarize here, which I talk a lot about. I used to talk a lot about fitness, health, and mindset. So I feel it's all these three concepts that are important. Working out has tremendous benefits. We'll talk about it in a second, but so does eating healthy and nutrition. When you don't eat well, you feel crap. So you can do a lot on the fitness side. That's why many people actually can allow themselves to eat a lot of crappy food just because they burn it off. But don't be mistaken, because the body needs good food to fuel itself. When you fuel it with crap and pizza like I like, donuts like I like time to time, and some maybe local food that is fried, which usually we try to avoid, right? Because it drains energy from our brain to our stomach and doesn't makes makes us feel gassy and not really well. But generally, that is important. And the third piece is obviously the connection, which is super key. I underestimated that when I was younger, because I thought, I can do everything by myself and just push through, and I don't need anybody. As you get older, you realize a lot of these mental states, like feeling sad, feeling unhappy, anxiety, can be really quickly offset and balanced out by talking to professionals, having coaches, doing some type of cognitive behavioral therapy if you need to. But overall, it can be really quickly dealt with by being part of some high performing group, which is amazing investment in your time. So I would say, just to make it specific as well today for busy executives with kids, I don't have kids, but I'm heading towards that realm. And I feel there are many people who have kids and who are busy and striving, especially in the company I'm working as well. That's kind of the norm and the standard. So what I feel, even for myself, right, waking up early in the morning and doing some type of high interval training, or intensity training before kids wake up and during breaks, so you can take 10-15 minutes. And the second thing is mindful pause. So the breathing is probably the fastest way how you can calm your body down, because it's really physical thing. So taking 10 deep breaths, you know you can assess how you feel before and how you feel after doing that. And the third thing, and I have a bonus for you, is family ritual. So when you have kids, obviously you often engage in some short outdoor activities, walks, games, or backyard play. And I think that's also very good for building family bond and releasing stress. And regardless whether you're a man, female, and regardless of the rank. And the final thing that I wanna as well kind of bring here, and often this is common knowledge, but not always common practice because we have different personalities, it's delegation. If you're a busy CFO or CEO or entrepreneur, often maybe you don't have the budget to delegate things or outsource things. But usually it is smart to do that if you can, because it can free up some mental energy and critical mass for the decisions that you need to make, especially the time with your family. Prioritize that, because that's what I've seen in my career as well, that as busy executives, we really quickly underestimate how long things take, and that building a business or just pursuing a particular passion or project should be played over a period of time, and dedicate your time to that in that realm. And also dedicate time to things that are important, like family, because that's what I was just listening to a podcast the other day from Mel Robbins, and she was just playing this audio from Jeff Bezos, where he was, before he started Amazon. And he has this saying, you know, teleport yourself to 80-year-old self and ask yourself, you know, would you do it? And often when we think that we are, 100 or 80 years old, we often probably would take the leap of faith and courageously act on our secret desires. And that's also what I want to encourage you with work, because also the sessions that I have in these groups, different groups, it's often about workaholism, and often how many of us run from our responsibilities, and perhaps even have some anxieties and are afraid to disconnect just because we feel less off, or it has to do something with our self-esteem. So I would encourage you, to don't beat yourself up, and don't be afraid to spend more time with your family. We know that chronically stress can erode both health and career prospects, and you don't want to be a stressed leader who nobody wants to hang out with, underslept. Sometimes, obviously, it's a period of time when you have small babies, it's maybe harder. But remember, it takes time to dedicate to yourself, and it doesn't have to take too much time. It can take, it's a mental decision, and your focus should be, I want to feel better over a period of time. I don't want to just, be the stressed out executive and who cannot decide effectively. And sometimes also what I want to underpin here is our mental habits, and generally how we grew up. If you didn't have the luxury of really engaging in these discussions with your parents, or perhaps with your friends, about how they think about life, you might have developed some certain coping mechanisms towards stress. And just like we said at the start, elevated stress and prolonged stress can really alter how we feel and how we act actually towards different situations. So even little stimuli and little trigger can just, cause a lot of havoc and a lot of damage on your life. So it's really about understanding how sensitive you are to stress, and eventually realizing that you can change that. You can positively reframe the challenge. And a lot of things that help me in my life and helps me, because like you, I get stressed and overwhelmed. It's about setting challenges, knowing that getting grounded, right? Getting back to, okay, I have my family, I'm healthy, I can drink clean water, I can plan my vacation, I can record this for you guys, and that is a reward. And that takes away the whole notion of constantly striving, constantly pacing, constantly trying to over optimize, and not taking time for the important things, which we all know are family, are our values, is how well we spend our time, not where we spend our time, but how well and with whom. And we know that, we're probably going to spend 80,000 working hours in our lifetimes, and it's totally fine to work, and I love it, and you probably do. But it's really about just how aware we are of the quality of the time. And a lot of these things and concepts I'm sharing with you are common knowledge. But ask yourself, in the coming week, as you go there into your meetings, into your tasks and challenges, think about, how stress has been impacting your life. Think about, you can pick up the book from Dr. Amen. He wrote Use Your Brain to Change Your Age. And I think he wrote it in 2012. And he did about 100,000 brain scans. And a lot of people who play NFL or in NFL or sports guys, or people who actually, you are in contact sports and get hit a lot in the head. So that obviously I would encourage you to stay away from if you can, and just protect your brain. That's what Dr. Amen talks about, but also generally the impact of stress. And so you can really do a lot for you, just as I said, before you engage into these more serious therapies and cognitive behavioral therapy or psychotherapy. You can really hire a coach or just talk to a mentor, talk to a friend. Sometimes it's just having somebody to call every week, right? And asking how you are, and they ask you how you are, and vice versa. And then including these wellness practices, just like Mark did, you can improve your lifestyle and your life. So my friends, I hope this encouraged you, this helped you. Please share it with few of your friends. People need to hear this. People need to realize that life is actually to be well lived. And when we do that consistently, things can really improve in our lives as well. So thank you very much for your time. And until the next time, stay legendary.